Well, g'day guys, welcome back to the Boomerang Biker channel. So I'm getting more and more questions around how I set up my GoPro to do the motor vlogging on my tour videos. So if you've perhaps got a GoPro at home and you've never really used it to its full capacity, you're not sure how to mount it on your helmet, particularly a modular helmet like I'm using. Maybe you don't know how to wire up the microphone and add in an external microphone. Well, this might just be the video for you. If that's something that you're interested in, then please do stick around, stay tuned, but don't forget to hit that like button. I would give you a thumbs up, but I'm going through the twisties at the moment, so I'll save the thumbs up for later. So hopefully this is going to be a great tutorial video, and you will give me a like at the end. Okay, so thanks very much. This is me, the Boomerang Biker. Please stick around for the video. Okay guys, so let's start off with the position of the GoPro. So you can actually see that I've got it mounted towards the rear of the helmet, and the obvious reason for that is this is a modular helmet, so the whole of this front needs to flip up, so I need that mounting point to be away from there. The problem that I found with that was I was actually capturing too much of the side of the helmet in the video footage. So to try and combat that, what I actually did was I moved or relocated the mount to the front, which is just down here, and I bought some different linkages and mounted the camera down there. Now that was good, that it gave me a nice open panorama or panoramic view, but there was a couple of downsides to that. So the main one was looking through the windscreen, which I don't like on motorcycle videos. I don't want to look through the windscreen. I think you need a higher view than that. So just dropping it down that little bit made a massive difference. The other problem that I had with that was the actual weight of the camera pulled the helmet down and over to the right at the front, more so than I could feel it by having it where it's mounted at the moment. So I had a little play around and I actually found some more linkages on Amazon, and when we do a close-up back at my place, I'll show you the extra linkage. So I relocated the camera back to that position, but the linkage that I bought from Amazon allowed me to just push it forward a bit, which meant that, yeah, I still got a bit of the helmet in the shot, but not as much as before. Now I actually like a little bit of that helmet in there. I think it gives you more of a rider's perspective, you know, rather than having a camera mounted up on your chest. But look, it's a matter of personal opinion, and everybody's got a different one. So I'm not going to knock how everybody else does theirs. It's just for me, I think it's a better position to be in. So that's number one, I guess, the mounting position. So moving on to number two, you're going to need some audio. You're going to need to capture the commentary as you're going along, unless, dare I say, you're one of those guys that has a video that he puts on YouTube with no commentary and just overlays some music. And to me, okay, impressive scenery, but that's a pretty much boring way of doing it. It's a little bit of a cop-out in my opinion. So the first thing you're going to need with this, by the way, is a Hero7 black. So the first thing you're going to need to do is hook up an external microphone. And it's quite windy. I'll open my visor for a second. Just down in there you can see that I've got a microphone that I've actually sewn into the chin piece there. You might have spotted a little furry object that is known as a dead cat, and that just cuts out some of the wind noise. Now it is quite a windy day today, so you're still probably picking up a lot of wind. So you're going to need an external adapter, and with the GoPro you can only use the factory GoPro adapter. There isn't another one in existence as far as I'm aware. Now for Australia I think it was something like 75 Australian dollars plus delivery, so it's not a cheap item, but you are going to need that if you want to run a mic into your helmet. So that's the audio, and then the next thing you're going to need is something to hold that mic adapter and the camera apart from the linkages. So you actually see that I'm using a Ulanzi, and we'll look at that when I get back to my place on the table. You'll need a Ulanzi mounting block that actually also locates the battery. Sorry, not the battery, the external adapter for the microphone. Now I'm just being very careful down here because I came down yesterday and I just missed Skippy by about 2 meters. He shot across the road, so it's a known area for kangaroos. Okay, so yes, you're going to need that, you're going to need the carrier, so we'll have a closer look at that. Okay guys, just before we head off indoors, the other thing I wanted to point out is with a modular helmet, the benefit is being able to pull up at the side of the road, flip up the front and be able to chat to your friends without having to take the helmet completely off. And you can also keep the GoPro rolling. Obviously if you're going to mount the GoPro here and you flip the front, all you're going to see is sky, so you're actually going to miss some of that ability to keep filming other aspects other than riding down the road. So that's something that you might want to consider. Anyway, let's head off indoors and we'll have a closer look at the helmet. So thankfully we've moved inside now because it's a little bit chilly out there on the bike today. It's quite overcast in Melbourne. We're going to have a look at the helmet first with the linkage on there. And then what we'll do is zoom in, take a look at some of the components, go through each of those, and then I'll show you how I route the microphone through the helmet. So I actually sourced all this from mainly Amazon and eBay. Obviously the first thing that you're going to need is a GoPro mount, assuming you've got a GoPro. This is actually the flat one, but there is a curved one that's designed specifically for helmets. So you can actually see where I've stuck that down there, and as I mentioned when we're out on the bike, I've also got another one there where I tried to move the camera to before, but we've moved back to this position. So you'll need to stick that on. You need to make sure everything's nice and clean. Warm up the helmet with an air dryer, obviously not something that I have kicking around, and also warm up the pad, and then I think you hold it on for something like 3 minutes. So I went and sourced on Amazon this special linkage, which is actually made out of aluminium or aluminum, depending on where you live. And it actually comes with a neat little wrench or spanner, again, depending on where you live. And you can tighten that all up. And once you've done so, it's not going to move at all. To make for a quick mounting of the camera when I stop and I decide I'm going to do some filming, there's just one little screw there or bolt, standard GoPro, and I can take the whole thing off, pop that in the tank bag, obviously disconnect the microphone there, and away you go. So to get this thing rolling, do exactly the opposite, take it out of the tank bag, slot it in there, tighten that up. I usually wind my microphone around there and the microphone actually comes with a little bit of Velcro that keeps it in position. And then obviously you need to plug that in, and away you go, you're ready to record. Okay, so let's move the camera, zoom in on some of the components, and we'll go through the entire setup. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the linkages. Now, as I mentioned in the video, I used to have this mounted a little bit further back. It was on the same mount there, but the linkage that I had was this short one instead of this big curved or radius linkage there, which effectively made the camera sit a lot further back. By doing so, we captured a lot more of this. Now, I actually like the perspective of having a view of the side of the helmet, but I find that too far back and it obscures a lot of the view over to the left-hand side. So I managed to find this little piece of bracket. It's made out of quite decent plastic, which keeps it quite light, because as I mentioned earlier, this little piece there is actually quite heavy. It's very well manufactured out of aluminium or aluminum or alloy, let's call it alloy. And that comes with a little spanner which you put onto these bolts and tighten everything up, and nothing will move then. So that's the linkage. Moving round to the front, this unit here, this holder is made by a company called Ulanzi. I've actually still got the box from when I purchased that, and I bought that off Amazon. And you can actually put a light source and an external mic on the top of there as well. This is actually designed to carry the GoPro Mic Adapter. So what I'll do is I'll take this off the helmet, strip out the adapter, and give you a closer look at that. So just before we take the adapter out of the unit, one thing I want to point out, and you might be able to see a little bit of elastic there, which is a homemade thing. So I learnt the hard way, and I'm going to put a picture up round about now. I was on an epic piece of road, stretch of road, and this came out. I must have knocked it with the visor flipping up and down. So not only did I lose the sound, as you can see from the picture, this ended up in front of the camera lens, so I wasn't able to use the footage at all. So a little bit of elastic there. Once you put that in, keeps it firmly in place. Okay, so that's a little tip that you might not be aware of. So this is the official GoPro mic adapter with my little homemade security safety device on there. As I mentioned when we were on the bike, it's around about $75 Australian. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe that you can find any sort of copy or generic item. You've got to buy the GoPro, and quite often they're on back order for several months. So if you do have a GoPro and you want to follow this setup, then get onto GoPro or wherever you source your equipment and get one ordered as soon as you can. Now into that, from the mic, you're going to need an adapter, and what the adapter, a converter, let's call it. What the converter does is it goes from a 2-channel, which is a TRRS, and converts that back to TRRS, which I believe the microphone is. So let's take a look at the microphone. So the microphone that I'm using, and I've already got one in the helmet, which I'll show you in a second or two. So this is a Lavalier, and these are widely available, very cheap on Amazon. And it's basically what you're searching for is a lapel mic. So you can see it comes with that little piece of foam on the end, which is a wind filter, let's call it. And then it also has a lapel clip, and it actually does have those TRRS to TRS converters. It comes with that. You can see there's a couple of different ones there that you actually get with it. But a nicer, neater unit is the one that I've sourced, again, from Amazon. And this is made by a company called Rode, R-O-D-E, and you can get those on Amazon. And once you've got that on there, it's quite neat. It's got a 90-degree bend on there, and you just push that into the microphone external adapter there. Okay, so as you can see, I've now taken off the camera and the linkages, and I've actually put back the bolt and retained this mount with the bolt in situ. And then what I do to manage that excess cable when I'm not using it, I just wrap that around the bolt. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is a Velcro piece that comes with it, and I use the Velcro just to secure that in place, and it keeps it all nice and neat while you're just riding without recording. So we take a closer look at the helmet. Actually, we'll spin it around that way. You can see that the wire then from there is routed through and onto the inside. Now, the good thing about modern helmets is that most of these pads will clip in and out, so it makes access very, very simple. So the wire just follows the baseline behind the pad there, goes past the comms module, that's what that is, follows it around until there, and then tucks up into the helmet and then comes through onto the chin piece. So if I lift that up and tip that up there, the wire comes out of the back there, down to the front, and I've just secured it in place with a little bit of a needle and thread, and that's never moved since I put that in there. One thing to be aware of, if you do flip up the front, I have on a number of occasions actually caught that and trapped it in there, and that's obviously spoiled my audio. So you might have seen on some of my videos that quite often when I drop that down, I'll immediately lift up the visor and just check that it's not stuck in there. Okay, so that's the microphone in situ there. So we'll put that down and we'll talk about the rear facing camera. So that's given you quite a lot of information about my forward facing camera that's mounted up on the side there. Now, when I first started making videos for my channel, I went out and I bought a Hero7 Black for that side there, but I also already had an existing GoPro knockoff, which is known as a Kaiser Baas, which I had mounted then on the front of the handlebars. So I'll just move the camera, we'll zoom in, take a look at that, because that's something that you might want to consider. So this is the Kaiser Baas unit. I think that's how you say it. It's an X100. It was quite a cheap camera. I mean, I've had it now for probably about 7 or 8 years at least. And I think I only paid something around about $120 Australian for it. It still will switch on, but it actually won't allow you to charge up. So it won't allow you to flatten it and then recharge the battery. But it just gives you an example of the types of cameras that are out there. You don't necessarily need to use a GoPro. I actually had this mounted to the handlebars on what's known as a RAM connector or RAM mount. And basically you can see that there's a ball there. There's another ball that's then connected to the handlebars with a U-clamp. And then this sort of GoPro type generic waterproof case is mounted on the top. I'll let you into a tip here. This over here is the case for the Hero7. Now I've been scuba diving with both of these cases and both of these cameras, and they've been fantastic. But the first thing that happened when I mounted the camera on the bike on a nice sunny day is that I got condensation inside the case and right across the lens. So the little tip and the secret is either unbolt if you can, or drill out that, and that will allow the condensation to come out of there. And again, I learned the hard way on that. Now, as I said, that's given up the ghost. So what I've actually done is I've moved on to my new little gimmick,
which is a Insta360 ONE. So I have this mounted on a similar way onto the handlebar. I actually use a mount called a Clampzilla, which you can move around the bike and put in various positions. But primarily I have it on the handlebars there. And this gives you a 360-degree video. From that, you can either leave it in raw footage, and whoever's watching the video can move around the video and change the view. And I'll put a little link up here to a video that you can play with right now if you like. Or what you can do is use the Insta360 Studio editing software to edit the footage, and lock in the aspect and the angle that you want to see on the end video. So I use this, I use the 360 Studio, lock down the footage, and then I drop that into the bottom right hand corner of the final video before I post it up onto YouTube. Coming to the video footage and editing, I'll let you into a secret. It's the industry standard. I use Adobe Premiere, which is the editing software for the raw footage, and that allows me to put in graphics. It allows me to put in this video footage onto the main screen. I can put in things like likes, subscribes, do my logo, have an intro and outro type video. And so that's what I use. Now it's not cheap, it's around about $50 a month, but it is, as I said, the industry standard. So that's it, that's my entire setup. That's the camera, the mounts, the adapters, the microphone, the editing software, everything that you need to get out there and make your own videos. If there's anything that you think I've missed, you need any more advice, I'm on Facebook. You can leave a comment down there. Send me an email. My email address is in the YouTube link, and I'm happy to help you out. So I hope you found this video really helpful. If you did and you would consider, yes, giving that thumbs up, I'd really appreciate the support. Ride safe, and most of all, have a great day.